Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansachanuramardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Om. Adorations, Lord Krishna, the preceptor of the universe, destroyer of the forces of darkness, and bestower of immortality. Srimad Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 9, it's known as Rajavidya Rajaguhya Yoga, the yoga of royal knowledge and royal secret. The word royal becomes make it interesting, because we always want to be loyal to royal. But with this wit, what we are implying is, when you are practicing integral yoga in your daily life, this is the best way practicing spirituality. The very practice of spirituality becomes successful if you are living a harmonious personality. Your personality is a musical instrument, a veena. Your action, your emotion, your will, and your reason, all these four must come into a melodious accord, and they should not go in different directions. Your action goes this way, emotion that way, and so forth. Then you create a bad music. When there is a melody, something else enters in your instrument, a kind of nature's charm that charms the people who hear the music. I'm just giving you a simile. So similarly, if you have that type of involvement in yoga, not yoga, karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga, but yoga that is integral. Naturally, in this integral yoga, of course, you must remember, it's karma, bhakti, dhyana, jnana. Four important points that you need to understand. Firstly, if the integral yoga movement has become agreeable to your soul, soul has begun to enjoy it. Now you are in the right course. The path is now a royal path. So you are not worried about what obstacles will come in your way. And that's the similes are given, very practical similes. There are all types of paths. Path going to a forest, path going to a village, path going into a troubled area. But royal paths is so well guarded by the royalty that you don't have to worry about it. Just go either running, jumping, staggering, whichever way. You will be taken care of in a royal way. So with this, we get into the verses of the Gita. 20th verse. Traividya mam somapa putapapa yajnairištva swargatim prarthayante te punyamasadya surendra lokam ashnanti divyan divideva bhogan. Those who follow the ritualistic portion of the three Vedas and drink the soma juice with their mind sanctified by sacrifice, pray for enjoyments of the heavenly worlds, and as a result of meritorious deeds, they attain the heavenly kingdom of the devas, where they enjoy celestial pleasures. All these completely allegorical, but try to follow now. Traividya mama somapaha bhuta papa. Those who follow this ritualistic portion of the three Vedas, that relates to the history of Vedic literature. First, three Vedas were prominent. Later, fourth Veda was added to it. Rik, Yaju, Sam, they were the beginning stage of the Vedas. And as everything evolves, so as saintly people evolved further, they supplemented and became a part of the Vedas. So normally we know there are four Vedas, and that four Vedas are mentioned by mentioning three Vedas. Vedas present three paths: Karma Marga, Upasana Marga, and Jnanamarga. I'll not lead you in too much distraction, but let me just give you these ideas. Karma Marga highlights ritualistic performances, highlights practice of yajna and different rituals that you have to be involved in under the guidance of skilled purohits, priests, and guru. Next one is known as Upasana Marga. Upasana is a blend of bhakti and dhyana, devotion and meditation. And Jnanamarga, the path of wisdom. The term Marga is used when you are studying Vedas in an intellectual way. But once your study becomes profound, these paths are yoga. Three margas become four yogas: karma yoga, bhakti yoga, dhyana yoga, jnana yoga. In a highly allegorical manner, Lord Vishnu incarnated as four brothers: Rama, Lakshmana, Bharata, and Shatrughna. Rama is jnana, Lakshmana is dhyana, meditation, Bharata is bhakti, Shatrughna is karma. But if you are out of these four yogas, which in ritualistic level, karma yoga, upasana, karma kanda, upasana kanda, and jnana kanda. But here, focus is on karma kanda. Karma kanda, different types of rituals are prescribed. And every ritual has so many details. What mantras you will be reciting, in what sequence, what you will be offering into the fire, what type of mantra must be recited along with it, and many details. What type of prasad you must prepare, and what type of oblation you must offer into the fire. And in old time, people had a kind of drink, they called it soma juice, soma ras. Old time aspect is not, it's just a entertaining your mind. Soma juice, soma is moon. Your attainment is in two stages. Here the moon is being used in a lesser stage. Normally moon means pure feeling. But here moon is a reflected sun. All desires that become the source of delight for your heart, they are reflected happiness. Pure happiness is like the sun. The moon draws from the sun all that light and creates moonlight. So, moonlighting and daylighting, two different stages. As long as you are involved in a living a life pursuing your desires, desire after desire, and viewing liberation itself as an object, you are following this reflected light, not the real light. All Vishaya Sukh, pleasures of the senses, they are arising out of your chitta, your mind stuff, based on subtle desires, vasanas. So on one side, this form of pleasure coming from the vasanas of the mind, and vasanas that are not pure, based upon ignorance, egoism, attachment, hatred, fear of death. If you are involved in that, that's all called Vishaya Sukh. And all that allegorically described as soma juice. But what we are leading you to understand, that you are practicing the Vedas, and yet you are trapped by the cycle of birth and death. But what happens to your sacrifice? With their mind sanctified by sacrifice, mind does become purified gradually, because there is no other way to advance on the spiritual path. If you are already advanced through many lives, that's a different matter. But normally speaking, you have to be prepared by ritualistic stage of your sadhana. And even when you advance, your ritualistic stage continues with you, but you don't become so dependent on the ritualism that you will not recite prayer unless you have the candle, unless you have the light, unless you have exact things that are needed, or the details. Then that's called a ritualistic bondage. So the same ritualistic stage that goes on purifying your mind, if you continue to be just stuck to the ritualism, your progress becomes stunted. Now the right course is Ritualistic level is kindergarten level. Now we get out of the kindergarten. But all that you have learned in kindergarten, they are always with you. We will guide others. Your children have to go through kindergarten, even though you are very advanced. I will not go into too much detail that way. But basic point, that ritualistic stage introduces you, leads you on to upasana, higher level of spiritual practice. But what happens with the ritualistic practice? The mind sanctified by sacrifice. They pray for the enjoyments of heavenly worlds. Now, first stage, manda buddhi, your prayer was that dusht should get out of my neighborhood. That was your prayer. Give you a simple simile. And now, your prayer becomes, may I be blessed with prosperity so that I can make a lot of charity. So that I can allow people to be educated and be good. So a sense of be good, do good has entered your heart. But your mind goes on drawing inspiration not from the highest source, from gods. Here you have to understand God is always the one, but led by conditioned mind, spiritual practitioners in the early stage, they view each deity having a specialized function. Lakshmi Devi will give you wealth. But if you want to go to school and pass examination, you turn to Saraswati Devi. And so different gods will give you different fulfillments. And people follow that. Sometimes you create a blend of many gods and you worship them. Sometimes you highlight one particular god, depending upon what your needs are. All this doesn't go in vain, rather it is commendable. You gain the fulfillment of your wishes. As a result of meritorious deeds. But when you are fulfilled, where are you? Described allegorically, you are in different planes that are celestial. Depending upon the type of virtue you have generated, you may stay in a celestial plane just enjoying pleasure. If you have been more advanced in your practice, it will not be. You are in the celestial plane. The celestial plane has many levels. You will be in a level where not only bhoga, but you will be also enjoying guidance of sage Brihaspati. You will be enjoying some deeper experience that opens the door to spiritual inquiry. This point has been brought in the scriptures in a highly allegorical way. How Shantanu went to heavenly world, but he was backed up by special karmas. Going in heaven, he was enjoying all the celestial dances, etc. But suddenly he fell in love with Ganga Devi. Ganga Devi means a channel to wisdom, jnana. Shantanu term itself means serenity, shama. So, ultimately, the whole Mahabharata opens up that Shantanu becomes the father of Bhishma. And Bhishma symbolizes that type of chitta that's ready to be enlightened. But what happens to all this? Those who do not have that special virtue behind them, those who simply stay in heavenly realm enjoying celestial pleasures, when those karmas that gave them pleasure come to an end, they must come back into the world. And so therefore, going to heaven, doing good karmas for heavenly enjoyment, that should not be considered the goal. At the same time, it should not be considered negative. If you are prepared for heaven, all that you need to do a little switch of angle. In other words, when virtuous karmas have prepared you, you develop a choice between your mind. Should I follow Preya or should I follow Shreya? And that choice, again, when we talk them with clear palabras. When you practice it, it automatically, your inner conscience has a clear understanding and begins to tell you, follow that, not that. Go to heaven, but don't get involved with all that. Look at Ganga Devi. So that becomes possible because you have virtuous backing. Once that possibility is there, now the story of your moving towards the highest Ganga, that's the wisdom, jnana, and attaining liberation. So first step is called bhoga. Next step is moksha. Tetam bhuktva swargalokam vishalam khinam khine punye martyalokam vishanti evam traidhar dharma manu prapanna gata gatam kama kama labhante. With the exhaustion of their meritorious deeds, having enjoyed the celestial pleasures of the heavens, they return to mortal world. Thus the followers of ritualistic portion of the Vedas, driven by their desires, continue to come and go. And this point has been explained. Now what's the ideal? 22nd verse. Ananyaschintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. It's a famous sutra. But those who worship me alone, thinking of nothing else, who are ceaselessly devoted to me, I look after their yoga and kshema. Yoga, I supply what is needed. Kshema, and sustain what has been given. Put it in a very ordinary way. You need money. Money has been given to you. But giving money is yoga. But also providing a basis for supporting the money, allowing the money to grow. Put it in the capital bank. So, similarly, every attainment, you have attained certain virtuous quality, you have twofold involvement in it. Sustain it, don't lose it. Second, allow it to grow. And this yoga kshema can be understood in many ways. And that keeps human mind constantly agitated. But if you are worshipping God alone, here again people get confused. You can worship all the gods, countless, all the Sahasranam, or put in a very simple way, you can worship Lord Shiva. You can have Shiva as your Ishtam. You can worship Vishnu, worship Indra, worship Devis. All these Devis, Devatas, worship is profound. When it is profound, that you have to understand. If in your heart you have begun to understand that same God expresses in these countless forms, same Brahman is Shiva, Vishnu, Rama, Krishna, Buddha, Saraswati Devi, Lakshmi Devi, Parvati Devi, and all Devis and Devatas. You can come down to even further detail. If you are worshipping a human being who is a source of happiness for you, I'm talking in a very ordinary way. People give great reverence to those who are rich and prosperous. In turn, they receive benefits. Even in that worship, you must realize Brahman is the source. No matter whom you worship, the reality behind the devata you are worshipping is God Himself. And it is God who is providing you with your fulfillment through your deities. So to understand all deities are one and the same, Brahman. And not to build in your mind differences in all these gods and goddesses. To some extent, people create terror. Shiva worshippers go against Vishnu worshippers and vice versa. All that is narrow-minded interpretation of religion. The true religion, God alone is being worshipped. Whether you call God Allah, Jesus, and so forth. God is just God. And God is same synonym of Brahman, the absolute self. And that absolute self is your essential nature. That the I am, just like there are countless pots with water and countless suns, reflected suns shine in those pots. Each reflected sun has a special characteristic of individuality. And yet all these countless reflected suns are nothing but the sun. So if you have that type of understanding that you're worshipping the God, and you have perfect freedom to choose which aspect of God, which angle, then your mind becomes free of carrying load. The sense that you are carrying load of past, present, and future. So many things, worries. So many things should happen in future. The load continues day by day. That load lightens. Because now we begin to understand the marvelous and miraculous acts of divine grace. And what that grace does, allows you to be united with a higher value, united with prosperity. But prosperity is a spiritual prosperity. And if you are utilizing it, you will have further accelerated progress. So you become internally completely confident. And that goes on along with surrender, the spirit of surrender to God. Sharanagati. The greater degree of Sharanagati, greater is your relaxed mind regarding what should happen, and if it has happened, can it be sustained? Your mind is constantly worried. You want to have good things to happen. But no matter how good things happen, even a little virus can put you in complete turmoil. So simply good things happen, good things you have possessed. That doesn't calm your mind. Your mind is calmed by a sustained progress, a secure path of increasing joy, and sthayi type of joy that is substantial, strong, that remains unshaken. Whenever I'm talking about joy, it doesn't mean that you go on laughing all the time. Your personality will face pain, shocking situations, suspense. But one thing the personality will not lose is the love of God. Why? There is subtle joy in that, a source of strength. So therefore, in spite of all that happens, you are internally delighting. Yepi anya devata bhakta yajante shraddhayanvita tepi mameva kaunteya yajantya vidhi purvapakam. Even the devotees of other gods who worship them with faith are in fact worshipping me alone. O son of Kunti, but not in the right way. This point I already explained. that no matter which God you worship, the reality behind that God is same, absolute. But in your mind you don't have that understanding. And so you view your God as the only way, and all others who are not worshipping your God, they are lesser beings. And your mind begins to imagine that your God will punish those lesser gods. So if you have that type of attitude of loving God for maintaining a terroristic attitude to things, then you are following a wrong way. You are worshipping, but not in the right way. Aham hi sarva yajnanam bhokta cha prabhureva cha natu mam abhijananti tattvena tashyavanti te. I am the enjoyer as well as the Lord of all sacrifices. Here again, all worships are done for invoking God, the God. And when we talk about gods are pleased when you do your worship, and when you have put everything correctly, then God gets nourishment. And when God has nourished, they help you more. If you don't do sacrifice, gods are weak. So that attitude is a kindergarten attitude. And you shouldn't stay with that attitude. Those who worship many gods do not know my true nature. This doesn't mean that you should not worship many gods. You can have all gods, different aspects, as long as you know that if you worship, if your Istha devata is Rama, and if you are worshipping Shiva, you will intensify your love for Rama, because always you remember Shiva, how in his great love poured out the story of Rama. How with great love he poured out the story of Krishna in Mahabharata. So Shiva is the source of love of Rama. Again, if you are Shiva devotee, you can adore Rama because Rama pours down his prayers and his love for Shiva. So in order to intensify your devotion to your Istha devata, understand that worshipping others becomes a means to intensifying your love for Istha devata. You have to figure that out, it's like a riddle. If you are properly understood, then if you are Rama's devotee, you go through all the mother worshipping so many devis, end up loving Rama. Devis are not upset. Devis are fulfilled. Likewise, if Devi is the Istha devata, then you are loving all the gods, worshipping them, doing kirtan about all gods, that they result in pleasing your deity. Because it's one and the same. Yanti deva vrata devan pitrin yanti pritri vrata bhutani yanti bhutejya yanti madhyajino pimam. Worshippers of gods go to the gods. Those who do not have that vision called ananya bhakti, there is only one God, no anya. There is no other than one God. So no matter which way you are worshipping, it is being one God who is being worshipped. And so your heart is not in distraction, which one to love in the morning, which one to love in the evening. It's one God. So, if those who do not have that understanding, now result of their upasana, their worship, will not lead them to God realization, will lead them to fulfillment of their wish. And they will consider that the vardhan of their deity. You worshipped Saraswati Devi and you passed your examination. You worship Lakshmi Devi and you got success in your job, got good wealth. And similarly, all other types of successes. But you go on giving credit to different gods. Then that will be your reality. जाकी रही भावना जैसी प्रभु मूर्ति देखी तिन तैसी. In Ramayana, I say. In a whole assembly of people, when Rama appears, everyone looks at Rama and develops a different mental picture about Rama, according to their bhavana, according to their feeling. Some find him as ordinary person. Some found him as one of the gods. Some found him as Brahman, the absolute. Some found him as inimical, negative personality. Some found him as a baby, as a young man. So how your bhavana is, that's a very important point. Your heart should not have any restriction when you are worshipping a deity. Restriction that, can I think of the deity all pervasive, big height? My picture is only this much. And so forth. So with this I'm going to conclude. Om Ram 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 Om Shri Krishnaya Namah. Om Shri Krishnaya Namah. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om. Prayer for shower of Karunamaya Ras grace of God over all, and the blessings of Shakti, Bhakti and Mukti. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukum Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyama Mritat. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyant Ma Kashchid Dukha Bhag Bhavet Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityor Ma Mritam Gamaya. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om.